Alright, we are here in AviAssembly, and I figured I would just do kind of like a little my opinion of the game so far, just for any of you interested in buying this game, or yeah, really whatever. Just kind of my little quick opinions. I've only played a little bit of this, so obviously take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, so I think the editor is really great. It's got kind of the same feel as Stormworks, which I love. However, it is just pivoted around this one point, and it can be a little bit frustrating. It does change whenever you change the size of your aircraft. However, it could be nice to even just have it where you press the middle button and are able to move your center point around wherever you want. That's what they have in Stormworks, and it's just kind of a nice little free mode. That's the main issue I have with the editor. Another thing that would be nice to see is the ability to change the size of the wings, and maybe how they actually look, and just all of that. Some more size options. Same with the cockpit. I think that being able to adjust how the cockpit looks would be pretty cool for customization. Same with like the engines and all of that. Another thing that I think would be pretty easy is just have like the little color picker. Instead of having the preset colors, have a little like table where you can go through and actually like choose your own color, the RGB codes. That seems like a pretty simple thing that would be nice just for some customization. Now this dev does have a road plan up, so I'm not quite sure. I've not looked at that yet, but I'll go and double check with that before I go super on, because a lot of this is probably maybe already in the road plan. So we'll see. But yeah, so I think the editor is really good. They've done a good job of making it feel kind of natural and easy to learn, which is nice. However, I do think that some customization, as I said, would be neat. Similar to as you can do with the fuselage, just with the cockpits as well as the engines. Just that, I think you get a lot more variety. I believe they're also trying to make this game work with the Steam Workshop, so you're able to actually send your builds into the workshop. So that would help with some more variety, I think. Alright, so we're spawned in here. I think it's all really nice and easy to learn, which is a nice little change of pace from Stormworks and a couple of other games. So it's really easy to get into and just get building and going to fly around really quickly. You can go into creative, you can do sandbox, whatever. I think those are the same thing. And there's also like the survival, where you have to do missions and stuff, where I did do a video of that earlier, which is pretty fun to do. You have to go through like the log of all the different parts and stuff and slowly progress to getting to this point. So a cool little way to do that. I've heard it's not a ton of gameplay yet, but I'm sure that will be worked upon. My biggest issue with this game right out of the bat was just the basic controls. Throttle was like space and A, and then my rudder control was E and Q. So everything was kind of all over the place, so I've just switched that. That was easy enough to do. I just made my throttle up and down key and my rudder, left and right key. So easy enough to do. There aren't a ton of options for settings. I think a camera mode would be really cool, being able to erase or get rid of all of the kind of HUD stuff up here. Whenever you take off, some of this does get removed. However, taking photos, especially for things like thumbnails, would be a lot easier if you didn't have this all over the place. There may be a way to do it, and I'm just not sure yet. So again, take this video with a grain of salt. This is just me after I've spent a little bit of time in this game and just kind of my first thoughts. I'm sure it will all progress as I play it. So a couple of changes that they are making. They're adding different airports, bigger airports. They're adding a lot more missions, things like rescue missions, cargo drops, passengers, all of that. So that's pretty neat. As I already said, they are adding the ability to post things to the Steam Workshop. Let's see, they're also adding decals and a lot more parts, they say. They are saying that they're going to improve the flight physics and better destruction physics, which is cool. The flight physics is the biggest thing that I have an issue with. It just feels like you're flying through absolutely nothing. It feels kind of like you're flying in a Roblox game. There's no resistance to anything. If I fly forwards, I'm going to go forwards, and there's nothing that will affect that no matter what. My speed also, it doesn't change. It's like whenever I choose the number that goes on my speed with my up and down, which I don't love. I like it feeling and like seeing the speed kind of fluctuate a little bit, which there isn't really any of, because I can go all the way full throttle right now. And I have my gear down. Hopefully that's not too loud. It's hella loud for me. And I have my gear down, and I can go ahead and put my gear back up, and I'll have zero effect. So there's a lot of things that just don't really play effect in it. I did fix my rudder. However, I don't auto yaw or anything whenever I actually roll. So just little things here and there that could kind of help it out, I think, and just improve the flight characteristics, which may very well possibly are what they have planned already, which would be really cool to see. We'll just go ahead and land here so I can hear myself think again. Oh. Another one of my amazing landings. Ooh, let's not go full speed backwards. A normal brake option would be nice as well, just because I'm kind of sliding around here. I'm obviously not in an airport. However, just full thrust or reverse. It's nice to kind of have an in-between and not have to have any thrust, which you could just use on space for tow brakes or even have a parking brake option. They are adding engine overheating, wing icing, wind, and weather, which will be pretty cool. I really hope that those all play an effect on how your aircraft actually handles. I have to assume that it will. But having to worry about things like icing conditions would be really cool. And that kind of comes into my next thing. First person would be really neat. I can't see that as it is right now, just because you would have to decorate the cockpit and everything else, and then it would kind of just turn into a lot more of a simulator, which I don't think this is really meant to be. But I do think that some first person, even if it's just cartoony, like I don't even need any controls or anything, I think that could be cool. It might make landing a little bit easier, because I personally am not a huge fan of flying planes in third person. I do a lot better in first. But yeah, so that's some stuff with their physics and flight characteristics and all of that. They are also adding helicopters and seaplanes and firefighting, which is pretty cool. So a lot of new parts that they're planning to add, which will be pretty neat. So I could definitely see this game being pretty cool and getting up there for popularity. But I think that some just little things here and there would make it a little bit nicer. That's just kind of my input so far of what I have experienced with this game. You also seem to need an insane amount of thrust to do anything. So I've got, like, this is a pretty proportional, I think, as far as big airliners go. Aircraft, other than the wheels and stuff. It might be nice to have some smaller wheels as well, but that's kind of the vibe this game goes for, I think. Which I don't mind. It looks cool. It looks kind of fun and cartoony. However, I do think that needing a little bit less thrust to move and even take off in this empty weight without any cargo would be good. Like, I have, I think, 4 more of these massive engines inside of this, as well as the jets on the back. And that's obviously overkill. It can take off probably with 3 or 4 of those big engines. I just died, of course. But I think that it would be good to, yeah, I don't really know. Just a little bit of balancing, I think, here and there. Because I could see this being pretty proportional. Obviously, those jet engines weren't there. But yeah, I think it would also look nice if you were able to, as I said before, customize the wings and everything. Just get kind of that personalized look to it. But that'll be it for my rant for this. I think it's a pretty cool game. I think it's got a lot of potential. And I look forward to seeing future updates and kind of where they take it as it gets bigger.